This is the first project in level 3 of visionary communication. The speaker's goal is to develop a communication plan for any event or situation and then present a 5 to 7 minute speech about the experience. The speaker may choose to speak about the planning process, the benefits of developing a plan, or the impact of the plan if it was previously implemented. Joanna will talk about planning her presentation for the Unitarian Universalist presentation she will deliver on the 21st of the month. Welcome, Joanna Shaw.
The last thing that I ever want to do is rehearse and prepare a speech. It's why even as I do this one, I have not rehearsed and prepared it, other than I thought I've been living this for the last 2 weeks. What happened was that I have a friend of mine from Aikido who I got to know by going and participating in her dojo where she trains children in the art of Aikido, these little kids, 5 to 7-year-olds and such. And I introduced her to this aspect of my work I call brain gym. It's where you do movement to help integrate the brain. She says, you need to come talk to these folks. There's so much in their head. They need to do something to get out of their head and into their body. Come do this presentation in front of our congregation and do a workshop afterwards. And the first answer I gave her was, no. No! I swore I would never do that again. Never. I did it once for another church, and it was like, it's just not my thing to stand in front of a group of people and spend 20 minutes proselytizing, fomenting about the whatever we want them to learn in terms of how to be better in their lives. It just doesn't speak to me. I get too wound up, too scared. I feel like I can't organize my thoughts. I don't know what to do. I do not want to do this. And I went back and forth with her for about 5 or 10 minutes until I finally said, okay. Because she kept saying to me, you know, it's just such a gift that you bring to the children. You've got to do this. And I'm going, oh. I said, okay. So I agreed to do it, and I thought, well, this time, if I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do a little preparedness work, because I don't want to feel so uncomfortable going up there and talking off the cuff in front of a bunch of people I don't know, doing what I usually do in Toastmasters, which is so easy, which is just to stand up here and fill time. And it didn't matter whether I got to the point or not. This thing, except Daniel wants me to get to the point. The point of this story is that as I got into it, I thought I'm going to embrace this as an opportunity to grow, to learn a new way. I decided to write out my whole speech. I'm going to write this whole thing out, and then I'm going to time it and make sure it fits within 20 minutes. So, draft 1 was double-sided, 2 pages, 14 pages. Double-sided, all handwritten out. And then I went back through it and I thought, well, I forgot to say this, and I forgot to say that, and I forgot to say this, and I forgot to say that. And so I revised and I revised and I revised in a written way for about a week. Then I decided to time it. 45 minutes later, actually as I got into it, or 45 minutes later, I thought this is too long, I need to cut it somewhere. And I decided that there was, you know, it was like, I have this so much information that I want people to get. I want to tell them everything. I was telling my friend that, I just want to tell them everything. She says, keep it simple. These are very simple-minded people. They might be in their head too much, but they're very simple-minded people, so do not get too eclectic and out there with them. Just keep it practical. And so this one, the first draft went in the round can. The second one happened to be about 14 pages double-sided with all of the revisions. And it got a little more narrow to what I wanted to talk about. But it was, you know, and about halfway through, I was at 15 minutes. But the first half of it was having some semblance. I had 3 stories I wanted to tell. They were just examples. They were stories like Sudir's telling that kept people's attention, that was interesting. It's like, and the message was you can change your brain, it doesn't matter how old you are. I had 1 point. But then when I got midway, all of a sudden I wanted to diverge into all these other things that I wanted them to know. And finally, by the time I got to the end, and it was 35 minutes, I thought, oh, that one needs to go out too. And somewhere I just have, there's one in here that I just threw out that it's just a page and a half. It's this one. This one, where I finally decided that I can't work from a script. But I needed to write it out to begin with because I needed to get my words on paper and figure out what it was I wanted to say. And then I started scratching out and I finally decided to outline it. And so at the top I have my 3 stories, and my 3 stories take me about 15 minutes to tell. And then I have a way of staying with those 3 stories where I talk about how you can change your brain. So I've got 3 stories in 1 point. And then I thought I want them to have at least one experience. So in one of those stories I tell the experience of a movement that I used that actually got me into this work. And I figure I'll just have them do that too. And it kept going on in my brain, and as I would talk with my friend, how do I simplify and focus? Simplify and focus. Stay with the stories. I've got 3 stories. I've got the point you can change your brain, and I've got an experience. 3 stories, 1 point, 1 experience. Simplify and focus. When I did the rehearsal on it, then it was down to 30 minutes. I thought, okay. When I got to the back side of it, I wanted to tell them all about developmental stages, and it really doesn't matter. So I rehearsed it yesterday. It's down to 20 minutes when I don't talk about all the things I want them to know that I think they should know that they don't care about, really. All they want to know is the story and the experience, and they're going to come and do a workshop with me afterwards, so why not? Simplify and focus, that's been my lesson, and it's been really fun to actually work through this on this level and allow myself to go through the pain of figuring out how to simplify and focus. That has not been easy for me, but I'm so happy to have this as an environment where I can share that, and I can do that.